I read a lot as a kid. Not so much these days as far as books go, but I still pick one up from time to time. I'd rather write them now. But as a kid, I read anything and everything. My parents had quite the library. My brothers and sister weren't much on reading, so most of the children's books in my house went to me. I was the kid under the cover with my horseshoe lamp reading when I was supposed to be sleeping. Caught my bed on fire once, but that's another story. Yeah, I burned a hole in my favorite stuffed animal, Dog. But Mom patched him back up. What was the biggest book I ever read growing up? Believe it or not, it was Profiles in Courage by John F. Kennedy. Yeah, my dad gave it to me to read. Said it would be good for me. Not sure 7-year-olds should be reading Profiles in Courage, but I did. Well, I might have been 10. I think I read it just to prove I could. There was one book I used to sneak off the shelf called Zots. It had a drawing of a naked woman. I don't remember reading much of it because I was too busy looking at the picture. I think it was on page 57. I loved Dr. Seuss, of course, and kids' novels like Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web was the first book that made me cry. There were 2 books I read repeatedly that I have to say shaped some of my life. Yeah, books are powerful. And no, it wasn't the Zots book. Although, okay, one was called A Boy and His Horse by Grace Marion Scarr. I must have read that book 100 times. It was about a kid who had to be patient till his colt was big enough to ride. Of course, he didn't wait. I wouldn't have either. My other favorite was Arty the Smarty by Faith McNulty. Arty the Smarty was about a fish, and he was a smarty. If a school of fish swam that way, he would swim this way. If they went up, he went down. Get the picture? Arty didn't follow the rules. Now you know where I got it from. The author, Faith McNulty, wrote lots of things. She started out writing wildlife articles for Life and New Yorker magazine. She also worked in the Office for War Information in London during World War II. In all, she wrote 43 books. Most were for children, but not all of them. Her most successful book was called The Burning Bed. It was a true story of a woman, Francine Hughes, who after years of horrible abuse set a bed on fire with her husband in it. Burned the whole house down. Francine was the first person to be acquitted using a temporary insanity plea. They made the book into a movie with Farrah Fawcett playing the main character. But most of Faith's books were for children. Her last one, If You Decide to Go to the Moon, was published after she passed away in 2005. Faith was 86. Never read her other books, but I did read Arty the Smarty. Read it hundreds of times. Still have it somewhere in a box in my storage. There was something else special about Arty. He was a little fish who wanted to make a big splash. I mean, a literal splash in the water. He just wasn't big enough. I still remember the lesson from the story. There's always a lesson, you know. The lesson was how determination and perseverance can help you accomplish your goals. At least, that's what I got out of it. An example was all the other fish being scared of mean old crab. But not Arty. He outsmarted them. Arty decided the only way to make a splash, though, was to go out into the deep ocean. He ran into big ships and fishing nets, so he got in a little trouble. Then he swam, by accident, into a whale's mouth. When the whale felt the tickle inside, he blew Arty out, which created a big splash. Of course, he swam home and told all his friends about it, which made Arty a hero. I just love that story. Lots of other boomers did too, apparently, because even though it's out of print, people are still buying old copies on eBay and other places. A used Arty the Smarty book sells for up to $60. I'm hanging on to mine. Here's a wall poster for $565 if you're really into it. There's even a guy on YouTube who reads the entire story to you. I wonder if my mother thought about the impact these books had on me growing up. And yeah, they had an impact. I think books can induce emotions and feelings in kids, and maybe even give them a better understanding of the world around them, good and bad. I can understand keeping some books out of really young readers' hands, but I do believe they've taken it a little too far recently. I mean, they tried to ban Charlotte's Web in Kansas schools because it had talking animals. Good grief. These same parents will take their kids to the mall and put them on Santa's lap, you know. Just saying. Not big on banning books in public schools, so I'm hoping there are some parents out there who are giving their kids lots of things to read, just like mine did. School's not the only place to read, you know. Just don't set your stuffed animals on fire with that lamp under your covers. That's all I got.